When the Wii U version of Project Cars was cancelled earlier this week, Wii U owners were rather justifiably angry. After all, Slightly Mad Studios, the developer of Project Cars, had been hyping up the Wii U version of the title for several years. Last year, the studio was still saying that the Wii U release would be great, and even as late as April and May, Slightly Mad Studios was still confirming the Wii U for launch this year. To say that Wii U owners were misled on the title would be an understatement. However, backers of Project Cars actually turned out in a pretty good condition. In fact, one of the lesser-known details of this whole Project Cars debacle is that the game was originally crowdfunded. Rather than going to a traditional publisher, which they ended up doing anyways in the end, the studio decided to raise $5 million off of online backers. When the cancellation of the Wii U version was announced, fans that did know about the crowdfunding immediately began suggesting a class action lawsuit against the development studio, as many of these backers would have wanted a Wii U version for their funding. The notion of a lawsuit is completely ludicrous, however, as backers actually came out of the whole ordeal surprisingly well. First off, people should familiarize themselves with the term crowdfunding. Generally, this term means that a company raises funds via a large network of smaller investors rather than a small group of large investors. The key word here is investors. In crowdfunding, there's never a guarantee of an actual return. That is the mindset that every person should have before backing any project. No promise is guaranteed, and each backing is simply a donation in exchange for a chance to get the finished project. In this case, however, Project Cars was massively successful. By June 7th, 1 month after the game's launch, it had already moved 1 million units off of store shelves. Commenters across the internet raged, decrying the profits reaped by Slightly Mad Studios at the expense of the initial backers. Except, that isn't entirely true. As opposed to many other titles, Slightly Mad Studios opted not to go to Kickstarter to fund their development. Instead, they started their own platform, a proprietary platform dubbed World of Mass Development. In contrast to Kickstarter, this new platform was an actual investment platform, with payouts back to investors based on Project Cars' success. Everyone who backed with at least €50 was guaranteed a copy of the game. The catch? Well, all backers would actually make money back based off the game's success. If the game sold 250,000 units, then backers would get €55 back. That's a €5 profit in the end. That's not bad at all, considering they also get to keep the game on PC. The game did not just sell 250,000 units though. With more than 1 million in sales, each backer took home €240 for every €50 invested. That is nearly 500% in profit. Plus, they still get the PC version of the game. Here's another tidbit though. The Wii U version of Project Cars was never really guaranteed to begin with. Although the initial announcement did list the Wii U as the platform, it also listed the PS3 and Xbox 360. And as we all know, the Xbox 360 and PS3 version wasn't released either. From the very beginning, the developers said that these platforms could change due to backer feedback and the developers' choices themselves. Hence, the development was shifted from the PS3 and 360 to port to the PS4 and Xbox One instead. In their eyes, Project Cars on Wii U was always a maybe, even if that was bullshit, which it may have well been. The fact is, from the very beginning, they could have changed whatever platform they wanted it on. The idea that backers could sue Slightly Mad Studios is completely ridiculous, as those backers are already taking home over €200 in profit as a result of the game's resounding success. From a quality perspective, the release of Project Cars on Wii U would have probably been disadvantageous to backers as well. With the news that Project Cars took up nearly all of the PS4's power, it is no surprise that the developers had trouble getting the game running on Wii U. In fact, the Wii U build of the game was having trouble keeping up 23 frames per second at 720p. If Slightly Mad Studios were to release a subpar or bad game, the image of their new property would surely be damaged. The internet would explode, Nintendo fans would scream about a subpar third-party release, and the cycle would continue. For those backers interested in investing in Project Cars 2, a bad release of the first game would have most likely hurt the sequel's prospects. Thus, it is in the backers' best interest to prevent a bad version of Project Cars from releasing. Yes, this video is probably gonna piss off a lot of people, but I'm sorry, these all needs to be said. Many Wii U owners were pissed off that the project was cancelled, but they're kind of screaming more than the backers themselves are. Saying that backers have a grounds for a lawsuit is kind of ridiculous because they really don't. They came out in profit. Whether a Wii U or NX version of Project Cars ever releases doesn't really matter in the end for those that backed the game in the beginning, because the company is already moving on to a new project, and in the end, the Wii U version probably wouldn't make much more money for them. Thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked what I had to say, go ahead and throw a like down in the comments. You can follow me on Twitter at Paleselan, that's P-A-L-E-S-E-L-A-N. If you didn't like the video, I would love to hear why. Leave your comment below. I'll try to read all of them and get back to you as well. Thanks for watching.